the President of the United States, accompanied by the Vice President of the United States and Representative Maxwell Frost.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please be seated. Good afternoon. So I will start by thanking our President, Joe Biden, for his long-standing leadership in the fight to save lives from gun violence. I also want to thank my husband, the second gentleman of the United States, and the extraordinary members of our administration, the members of Congress, survivors, advocates, and our incredible young leaders who raise their voice and demand change. So we are all gathered here today for a simple reason. We agree that in a civil society, the people must be able to shop at a grocery store, walk down the street, or sit peacefully in a classroom and be safe from gun violence. But instead, our nation is being torn apart by the tragedy of it all, and torn apart by the fear and trauma that results from gun violence. Recently, I have met with students on college campuses across our country, and when I'm there, every time I turn to students and I make a request of them. And what I ask is, please raise your hand if you have had an active shooter drill while you were in elementary or middle school. Every time, a sea of hands goes up. Because in today's world, on the first day of school, students, yes, learn the name of their teacher. Yes, they learn the location of their cubby. And they learn how to quietly hide from an active shooter. In fact, when having this conversation, a student once told me, I don't like going to fifth period. Why, honey, I know. Because in fifth period, there's no class. In our country today, 1 in 5 people has lost a family member to gun violence. Across our nation, every day about 120 Americans are killed by a gun. And while this violence impacts all communities, it does not do so equally. Black Americans are 10 times more likely to be victims of gun violence and homicide. Latino Americans twice as likely. And as a former courtroom prosecutor, I will tell you I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have seen with my own eyes what a bullet does to the human body. We cannot normalize any of this. These are not simply statistics. These are our children, our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers. As a former district attorney, attorney general, and U.S. senator, and now vice president of the United States, I have grieved with parents who have lost a child. I have comforted children who have been traumatized by losing a parent or a sibling. We owe it to them and to those living in fear to act without delay. And on this issue, we do not have a moment to spare, nor a life to spare. And here's the thing. solutions do exist. It's a false choice to suggest you either have to choose between supporting the Second Amendment or passing reasonable gun safety law. That's a false choice. President Biden and I believe in the Second Amendment, but we also know common sense solutions are at hand. So I'll close with just a couple points. First, President Biden and I continue to be deeply inspired by the students who are leading this movement. And second, in so many ways, we are then propelled by their work, by your work. And being propelled by what you are doing, we are expanding our work. With this new office, we will use the full power of the federal government to strengthen the coalition of survivors and advocates and students and teachers and elected leaders to save lives and fight for the rights of all people to be safe from fear and to be able to live a life where they understand that they are supported in that desire and that fight. And with that, I will now introduce a national leader on this issue. He was only 15 years old when he joined this movement. He is an organizer, he is an advocate, he is a coalition builder, and he is the first Gen Z member of the United States Congress.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Vice President Harris, for the amazing introduction. It's the honor of a lifetime to be here today as President Biden cements his legacy as one of the fiercest champions of gun violence prevention, President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm Congressman Maxwell Alejandro Frost, proudly representing Central Florida in the House of Representatives. As the youngest member of the United States Congress and first member of Gen Z, I'm often asked what got me involved in this work, and the answer is quite simple. I didn't want to get shot in school. I was 15 years old when a shooter walked into Sandy Hook Elementary School and murdered 20 children and 6 teachers. And like millions of kids, I went to school the next day with anxiety and fear that my life would be taken, my friend's life would be taken, and my family's life would be taken by senseless gun violence. Right before I was elected to Congress, I served as the National Organizing Director for March for Our Lives, a movement that inspired young people across the nation to demand safe communities. And we came together, Everytown, Brady, Newtown Action Alliance, Gifford, Sandy Hook Promise, Moms Demand Action, Change the Rep, the Community Justice Action Fund, and so many on-the-ground organizations. It's because of that steadfast, passionate organizing that we are a winning movement. And we're a winning movement doing very difficult work, because the brutal truth is usually when the most people are paying attention to our movement, it's usually coupled with carnage and death. But not today. Today, the country sees us here at the White House with a president who is taking action. My very first bill as a member of Congress was to introduce the Office of Gun Violence Prevention Act of 2023. To bring together a federal coordinated response on this issue. And today, that bill and our ask of the movement will become a reality due to the executive action and leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris. The President understands that this issue, especially for young people, especially for marginalized communities, is a matter of survival. He's a president who's been fearless enough to reject the gun lobby and sign into law the first major federal gun legislation passed in nearly 30 years. The bipartisan this action, that legislation comes from love. From Pulse to Parkland, we fight because we love. From Breonna Taylor to Trayvon Martin, we fight because we love. Joaquin Oliver, Jamie Gutenberg, we fight because we love. Because when you love somebody, you want them to live free of gun violence. That is what true freedom is. And President Biden wants that safety and freedom for every American. And if this week has shown us anything, because the White House has been very busy this week, it's that Joe Biden wants to be and is a president that understands the power of young people. A president fighting for the world that we deserve. Today, this administration announces yet another piece of groundbreaking action in the fight to save lives. I am proud to introduce the President of the United States of America, President Joe Biden.
Our movement turning this cause into reality. You know, you're the big reason why I fell out of this military. So many years I remember when I was young. Here's something common. I got away from the son about 29 years old. Boy, just because he was eligible when he got away. I had to reach 17 years old. Like President Harris, members of the cabinet, so many members of Congress who are here, and the relentless figures on the street. You know, one of the members who will be here today is a really important member, Senator Chris Murphy. So Chris, together with Congressman Paulson, introduced the bill, created a dedicated gun violence prevention office, and he couldn't be here today. Since the tragedy in Sandy Hook, and I remember being there. I remember that I met with everyone in the parents group. I met with every member of every family. And what I do also remember is that I remember as we were leaving, when the state police doing the investigation asked us whether they were leaving our community. And I said, of course I did. And I think there were about 12 to 14 of us who walked in the room. The two started crying. They said, we need help. We need help. I looked at them and I said, what can I do? I said, we need psychiatric help. We need help. We need help. Anyone who doesn't think that these kinds of engagements have a permanent effect on young children, in many cases older their entire lives if they've never had a bullet touch them, misunderstandings. These are hard and tough cops asking me, could I get them psychiatric help? To all the state and local leaders and advocates from all across the country, and to the survivors and families who are with us today, many of whom Jill and I have gotten to know. By the way, our losses may be different circumstances, but I know events like this are really hard to attend. We want to be here to promote change, to bring back all the memories of what's happening today. And I thank you those of you who are being here, brothers, sisters, men. You have absolute courage on the purpose of our pain. Because of all of you here today, all across the country, survivors, families, advocates, especially young people who demand our nation do better today. Who protest, organize, voted, and ran for office, and yes, marched for their lives. I'm proud to announce the creation of the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. By executive order, I determined the Senate matters. Here's why. After every mass shooting, you hear a simple message. The same message all over the country. I've been to every mass shooting. Do something. Please do something. Do something to prevent the tragedy. And leave behind survivors who will always carry the physical, emotional scars. Families will never quite be the same. Communities overwhelmed by grief and trauma. Do something. Do something. My administration has been working relentlessly to do something. To date, my administration has announced dozens of executive actions to reduce gun violence more than any of my predecessors at this point in the presidency. And they include everything from cracking down on ghost guns, breaking up gun traffic. And last year, with the help, your help, I signed into law the bipartisan Civil Communities Act, the most considered concept of law in almost 70 years. Strengthen background checks, expanded use of red flag law, improves access to mental health services, and so much more. Historic law will save lives. It's really important to this step. And by the way, I was a guy along with women in California who also once banned assault weapons and multiple tragedies. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. All that to believe in the hope. Because for so long, the conventional wisdom was we'd never get any Republicans to support gun safety legislation. But we did. For the first time in 3 decades, we came together to overcome the relentless opposition from the gun lobby, gun manufacturers, and so many politicians opposing common sense gun legislation. Beat them. We did it through a bipartisan effort that included a majority of responsible gun owners. We're not stopping here. Again, I'll say it again. I'm not going to be quiet until we get it done. It's time again to ban assault weapons high-capacity magazines. Indeed, 80 shots in a magazine, you shouldn't own a gun. Because look, last time we did it worked. We also, last time we established universal background checks and required safe storage of firearms. It's time. It's time. Look, while we push for Congress to do more, we're going to centralize, accelerate, and intensify our work to save more lives more quickly. That's why this new White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention was designed to do. It will drive and coordinate a government and a nationwide effort to reduce gun violence in America, and will be overseen by an incredible Vice President who understands this. That's a fact. She's been on the front lines of this her entire career as a prosecutor, as an attorney general, and as a United States Senator. Her deep experience will be invaluable for this. And Steph, where's Steph going? Steph, I want you to stand up. Steph, I'm working on this in the meeting since Sandy Hook in 2012. She was 13 years old when she joined me, but in 2012, I served as director of the office. The office will have 4 primary responsibilities. First, to expedite the implementation of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act and the executive actions already announced. And I mean it. We're going to fully implement it. Second, coordinate more support for survivors, families, and communities affected by gun violence, including mental health care, financial assistance, the same way FEMA responds to natural disasters. Same way. Help folks recover and rebuild and all of it. Look, folks, shootings are the ultimate superstar, ripping through communities. Third, identify new executive actions we can take within our legal authority to reduce gun violence. And fourth, expand our coalition of partners in states and cities across America, because we do have partners to get more. We need more state and local help to get these laws passed locally as well. And to strengthen our laws will give us more hope. Folks, to be clear, none of these steps alone will solve the entire seriousness of purpose. Today, guns, I never thought I'd even remotely say this in my whole career. Guns are the #1 killer of children in America. Guns are the #1 killer of children in America, the United States of America. More than car accidents, more than cancer, more than other diseases. In 2023 so far, our country has experienced more than 500 mass shootings, well over 30,000 deaths due to gun violence. It's totally unacceptable. It's not who we are. We have to act and act now. And let me be very clear. Members of the Congress refuse to act, and we'll need to elect new members of Congress as well. Haven't said earlier, Congress. Look, folks, there comes a point where our voices are so loud, our determination so clear, that our effort can no longer be stopped. We're reaching that point. We've reached that point today, in my view, where the safety of our kids from gun violence is on the ballot. At the end of the day, whether the Democrats or Republicans are all want our families to be safe. We all want to go to school, houses of worship, grocery stores, gyms, malls, movies, without constant anxiety. We all want our kids to have the freedom to learn how to read and write in school instead of ducking cover, for God's sake. And it matters. So let me close with this. Earlier this summer, I was in Connecticut at a summit on gun safety hosted by Senator Murphy. 4 students impacted by gun violence are here with us today. Some with extraordinary courage and stood and shared their stories on stage. 4 of them. They each came from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, different shootings. But they shared a common singular message. And one of them summed up in just a few words, and I quote, "The deadly and traumatic price for inaction." Deadly and traumatic price for inaction. They made clear what all of you know too well. That price can no longer be the lives of our children and the people of our country. They spoke for an entire generation of Americans who will not be ignored, will not be shunned, and will not be silent. And I know progress is hard. I've been at this a long time, and we've done it before, we can do it again. If we're here, I'm here to tell you, and you and Vice President Harris here as well, you're right. You're right. We're by your side. And we're never going to get up. If you give up dealing with this problem, we're never going to forget we love them. We're never going to get there unless we remember. You know, I know do this because I know you. Heroes. Heroes prove that even with heavy hearts, we have ungrateful spirit. In memory of your loved ones, you're building a movement that endures. Above all, you'll never give up on the one thing you must never lose. Hope. 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 Jill and I, Tom and Doug, the entire administration, more determined than ever to carry forward that hope, that inspiration, that light. And we continue to give us hope. The lives we have lost, the lives we can save, we can do this. We just have to keep going. We just have to keep the faith. We just have to remember who we are. Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house, I would stand and yell, "For real." You always keep the faith. Your grandmother would know you. Spread it. Spread it. That's what we have to do. Spread the faith. And remember, we need to say, we're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our grasp when we do it together. Nothing we've ever tried to solve when we've done it together. God bless you all. God protect our people.
Distinguished guests, please join in the word sergeant as the President and the Vice President depart. Thank you.
Can you come over here? Yes.
Regarding the initiative that the president launched today. Can you talk about how that we support what you're doing in Jacksonville, given what the recent shooting in Jacksonville?
Well, I think anytime that you can put those resources all concentrated at the federal level that can then connect to all the local efforts, I think that's incredibly helpful. The president is talking about investing in communities that have been victims of gun violence. We need that investment in prevention programs. I just think the more that all of us who care deeply about this issue are connected, the faster we can move the dial on it. So I'm really pleased.
And can you also talk about what you're doing to support the Black community in your city, for example?
Well, as you know, we several weeks ago had a horrible racist shooting there where we lost 3 precious lives in our Black community. And so what we're doing right now is we're offering financial support is one of the things that we're bringing groups together to do. But also we are connecting people through their various series that we're having of discussing what we can do as a community together to move us past this gun violence issue. We have a gun violence problem in our city, just like we do in our country. And I think the more that we all confront it together, the better we'll do. So we're working on a lot of things to heal the community, but at the same time, I think the best thing we can do is to show them that we are dedicated to moving forward on issues like this.
And now your message to Congress, they have been dragging their feet on this issue. And with what the president is doing today, as you mentioned, to expedite the efforts of the local community, what would be your message to Congress, to members of Congress, to move this forward, and how significant it is as a country that this issue is addressed?
Well, I think the reason this is so powerful is because it speaks for most Americans, right? I think something like 87% of the country would like to see common sense gun reforms and want to deal with this issue because it's tearing our communities apart. So my message would be listen to the majority of people in this country, and I'm hoping this effort will provide that impetus to make it happen.
Thank you very much for talking
so
with
welcome.
us.
I'm here for